It's the WaitingForNextYear.com podcast on a fine, lovely Saturday afternoon. We're talking Cavs because they're playing tomorrow. Brendan Bowers is on the line. How's it going, man?
Hey, good, Craig. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I need to talk Cavaliers. It's not that I want to talk Cavaliers. I need it because Kyrie Irving's injury happened last night, or at least the information came out about it last night, and then it seems like everybody in the world has now taken this injury that he was already injured, and granted he played well in game one, and they've said now the Cavs have no chance. So I know they're underdogs, but do they have no chance?
No, they have a chance. Anytime you have LeBron James on the court, LeBron James at the peak of his career, you have a chance. It's difficult without Kyrie and Kevin Love. It's especially difficult when you see the way Kyrie did play, like you said, in game one. He defended Steph Curry pretty well. He got to the basket. He created for others. He looked good, frankly. And I think that's, part of the reason why it is so devastating, losing him, like they did. But the percentages certainly have dwindled down, but they do have a chance.
Well, and it seems to me, and I know Atlanta isn't Golden State, and I know people like to disrespect the Hawks and everything that they put together, but the Cavaliers did some pretty amazing things against the Hawks without Kyrie Irving.
They did. They certainly did. I mean, that's another reason why, there is a chance, without Kyrie. It's just, you look at a game where LeBron scores 44 points and they don't win. I mean, and you wonder, where you're going to get those points. I mean, the Cavaliers have an opportunity to win if you can get J.R. Smith into the 20s, if Timofey Mozgov is again having the type of game that he did in game one, if Iman Shumpert is at the 15-point range. But, they're really going to need somebody else to step up and get 20 on the road. And I think that's kind of the difference there, is that when you have a star like a Kyrie Irving, he can get you 20, 25 on the road. And a lot of times, some of those other guys, they have those type of games at home. You expect more from guys like J.R. Smith, Shumpert, on down the line at home. So you really need somebody like a J.R. Smith specifically to come out and get you 20 on the road. And LeBron's got to be, just like he was in game one, scoring at a high volume.
So let's talk about that because obviously I think LeBron had an amazing game, one of the most incredible games that I've seen him play in his entire career, certainly in the playoffs. But in a certain sense, I do wonder if stylistically that isn't what the Golden State Warriors would prefer. They wear out, obviously he's going to score and he's going to score plenty, but they wear him out, the best player, and nobody else gets involved, and all of a sudden it's a kind of stand around and watch LeBron kind of a game plan. I do wonder what the Cavs game plan is going to be going into game two, and if they're going to have LeBron deviate from that and become more the distributor and the enabler of his teammates.
Yeah, I think two things. If you look at what Golden State's game plan was, Steve Kerr in an honest moment would probably tell you, that was part of the plan. Let LeBron take a high volume of shots, take them from the outside, and you look at that last shot, where he took the jumper as opposed to driving to the basket. That's what they wanted. Take long twos, take contested jumpers, take a lot of shots to get a lot of points. He took 38 shots. So you definitely don't want him shooting that many shots. I think what has to happen is if you look back at that game one, LeBron came out very efficient and very aggressive. And he really didn't get, the type of consistent help, throughout that period that you really need. So LeBron came out and set the tone, and then somebody else has to come out, and obviously it can't be Kyrie Irving now, that sets a similar tone. And he just needed, when you look at the way the Warriors got points in droves, they got them from a number of guys, and the Cavaliers really never had a spurt where they got a number of guys, getting consistent baskets. And so I think you need LeBron to be efficient. I think you need him to be aggressive, but you don't need him up at the 38 shot number. And if he's not going to be there, then someone else has to be a consistent scorer. A couple other guys have to be, have to be right there with him, having a good game shooting the basketball.
Is there any chance in your mind that this Cavaliers team actually comes out? I would never try and tell anybody that they're better off without Kyrie Irving, but is there any chance that they're better off not wondering or guessing or having to try and figure out if they're going to be able to get anything from Kyrie Irving, and they can know more solidly what their rotations are going to be?
Yeah, I think there's some clarity in knowing that he is gone, as opposed to, the previous series where, he missed 2 games against the Hawks. He's in and out of the lineup. So I think there is some clarity in a sense, knowing that he's gone. Definitely. I guess that does take away a little bit, game planning wise, if there is any gamesmanship there from the Warriors' perspective. But I guess there is some clarity, and guys know that they need to step up. Guys know that they need to fill different roles. And I think I keep mentioning J.R. Smith, but he's the guy that I'm really looking to here. I mean, he's your next offensive weapon, really, after LeBron James at this point. And I think that guys like J.R. Smith specifically know that, okay, I need to step up right now. Because, I mean, if the Cavaliers don't get 20 points from J.R. Smith, they're going to probably lose, in this scenario right now. So I think that there's clarity in knowing that roles change, guys need to step up, and that, you can't depend on, your second best player anymore.
Well, and that was the surprising thing to me about J.R. Smith. I always knew that he was a great shooter, but it seems, or something that I discovered from watching him play, is that he's pretty good off the ball. He's pretty good driving to the hole. And we didn't see any of that in the first game against Golden State. And in fact, other than LeBron and Kyrie, and maybe Mozgov, the Cavaliers kind of looked a little bit intimidated. I mean, obviously, guys coming off the bench are going to sometimes look intimidated. Delly looked awful. J.R. Smith didn't finish well. Iman Shumpert disappeared. So I know I'm coming at you with a lot of hopes and a lot of Homer hopes, but I guess that those are the things I'm clinging to. I know it's probably down to a 30 or 25% chance of the Cavaliers winning the whole thing, but I just refuse to believe that it's 0 like so many other people out there.
Yeah, it's definitely not 0. And the thing that's so crazy about this is if they figure out a way to steal Game 2, all the momentum that was gained in Game 1 and then followed up by the Kyrie injury that went to the Golden State Warriors, it all comes flooding back to the Cavs if they do find a way to go ahead and steal this thing tomorrow. And I think a little bit of what you were saying, too, before is that, all the chances of all those guys having a bad game again, maybe isn't as likely. I mean, based on what we've seen throughout the postseason, Delly had a big game. Shumpert's had big games. J.R. Smith has had big games. Now, obviously, Mozgov played well in Game 1. I hope you can get that from him again. But, there is an opportunity for, Tristan Thompson to score more. I know he had 15 rebounds, but to score more than 2 points. He made the first basket of the game, and then he didn't score again. So you could get a guy in Tristan. You're going to need a collection of these things, but you're going to need J.R. Smith in the 20s. You're going to need Tristan Thompson, getting 10 points. Iman Shumpert's going to have to be pretty efficient. And then LeBron, again, is going to have to be, at the 35, 40-point range. So it is possible, but like you said, and like we've been talking about, it becomes extremely difficult, without Kyrie. And it's crazy when you take a step back and you look at it. Maybe the Cavaliers are a year early here. Maybe they're, a year ahead in the progression. I mean, no one really expected them to win an NBA championship coming into the year. And if you sit back and look at it now, the Cavaliers could potentially, they're in the finals right now, and they don't have Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and Anderson Varejao. If you get those 3 guys back healthy next year, it could be a different story.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly with that, and it's such a long road. I mean, the whole entire season from the point where you and Delly were walking around the West Side Market to where we are now, it's just so long and so drawn out that it feels like such a shame if they make it this far and they don't somehow find a way to do it. Like, you got to climb that mountain all over again. It's
yeah, you're right. It really does feel like a mountain, and you're right. Especially you get here. That's what's so devastating about that. You get here, Kyrie Irving's playing through pain. He plays well, and then you lose him. But but it is. You really get a sense, after LeBron being gone for 4 years and then coming back. We've been talking about the draft ad nauseum by now through this time, a couple of years ago, and the season's not over yet. And you're right. Like I went to the West Side Market with Della Vedova before the season even started. It was almost a year ago. It was 8 months ago, 9 months ago, and it is just such a long mountain to climb. But like I said in the beginning, when you have a healthy LeBron James in his prime, anything is possible because he still is the best player on the court.
All right, last but not least, because the word that I despise, drama, tends to follow the Cavaliers around because, frankly, they're a high-profile team with LeBron James, whether it's David Blatt, whether it's Kevin Love and his future. Kevin Love squashed all that stuff about his future, at least for a moment. I'm sure it'll pop up again, despite the fact that he squashed it. But now we've got kind of not conspiracy theories, but we've got some issues in and around Kyrie Irving's injury and whether or not he should have been playing and which doctors work for whom and who sees what doctor and when. Are you buying into it, or is it all just kind of that speculation that surrounds a big important team like the Cavaliers?
Yeah, I think it's the latter, like you said, just the speculation that surrounds those type of teams, and when things go wrong, people start blaming other people. So, I mean, Kyrie Irving, there was no blame being thrown around. There was no talk at different doctors when he was getting on the court, and now that he's off. I mean, it's just a devastating situation, and blame gets exchanged from all sorts of angles. So I'm not really, feeding into any of that. Really, just my focus right now is just looking at this team coming out on Sunday and just taking a look at the opportunity that they do have and seeing if they could somehow pull off a miracle in Game 2 and jump right back into this series.
So you don't buy curses. You don't believe that this is the kneecap after the shot to drive the fumble, like maybe Jim Rome would have said.
I don't know. I mean, I want to say no there.
Even if they lose, it's not in that echelon.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It's not. It's tough. It's a tough break, but maybe the one thing I've been clinging to in the last couple of days is maybe the Cavaliers are a year early. I mean, if you think about it, maybe they overachieved to an extent. Really, you make the type of trade that they have, the roster overhaul that they're 19-20, turn the entire roster over, and you're in the NBA Finals. I mean, that doesn't happen. I read a couple stats a couple months ago about teams at the trade deadline, trading for starters, and you really don't see a team bringing in as many pivotal players as the Cavs did in mid-season and getting to the NBA Finals, and so you really got to think that maybe the Cavs are just a year early, and maybe they're just gaining experience here. If it doesn't end up going the way we all wanted it to heading into Game 1.
Yeah, it's kind of like that one year. I think it was when Ohio State played Florida, and everybody in football, and everybody made fun of Ohio State for getting beat badly by Urban Meyer's Florida team, but they weren't even supposed to be there. They were like they were in third or fourth place, 3 places out of it. And then everybody in front of them just lost in the last 2 weeks, and they ended up in the national championship game by default, and it was like putting them up on a pedestal just to beat it down, and that kind of feels like what the Cavaliers are. Everybody knows that Kevin Love is injured and Kyrie Irving is injured, and this is a team that was assembled, at least a third or a halfway through the season. But man, anytime LeBron's on a team, or you've got an image like Ohio State, they just want to beat you down.
Yeah. I mean, and you're right, and the fact that LeBron's playing so well and that he is at his peak. I mean, that obviously, it's tough to say that LeBron James is an underdog at this point in his career. It's so tough, it's almost impossible. But really, if you look at what the Cavaliers have accomplished. 19-20, and they're in the finals, missing 2 of their big 3, for portions of the playoffs, and obviously for the duration of the finals here. They've accomplished a lot. Gave us a lot of reason to hope that the championship could be soon. If it isn't this year.
Yeah, valuable experience for everybody who's going to stick around, whether it's Shumpert, Delly, all the different pieces that are up in the air this off season. Thanks so much for finding the time on this beautiful Saturday. What are you doing tonight? Where can people find you? Where are we partying tonight?
No, I'll just be hanging around. Nothing major.
Undisclosed locations. I heard it. You heard it here.
Undisclosed locations. Yeah, I don't want to put that out.
All right. Thanks so much, Brendan, and we'll talk to you soon. Hopefully, when after the Cavaliers win Game 2.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right. This is the WaitingForNextYear.com podcast.
Waiting for next year.